The Senate knows that since January 2023, Nigeria has been the most challenging country to the world for the airlines to repatriate their funds to support their operations. Further notes that in February 2023, Nigeria alone amounted to 44% of total airline block funds in the whole world. Worried that the total airline block funds in Nigeria as at March 28, 2023 amounted to 717,478,606 million, comprising matured bids that the Central Bank of Nigeria is yet to deliver and bids yet to mature, and cash balances in airline accounts for repatriation. Concern that matured bids not delivered by CBN amounted to $386.5 million, amounting to 26% of the total block funds, while three stakeholders, IATA, Qatar Airways, and Ethiopian Airline, accounted for 57% of the block funds. Regrets to discover that a review of airlines block funds in Nigeria in the last 6 months shows an average month-on-month increase of $49.5 million. Further regrets that the consequence of these block funds are that cheap tickets are not available in Nigeria because taxes and inflation will have eroded the profit when the funds are kept for a very long time. The
interest in this particular issue is simply to say whatever it is, whatever the truth and wherever the truth lies, the situation on ground is what is my major concern. And that situation on ground is such that Nigerians are suffering. Because if you look at the situation today, sometimes many people have to use Ghana, Togo, or other adjoining West African countries to get their flights to wherever they want to go to, which is more reliable. And I think what needs to be said here is that we have our aviation sector. There is a ministry and they operate within the financial institution, so many people are having responsibilities. So what I can say here, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is that definitely there is something wrong. If our neighboring countries that are not as economically vibrant or buoyant as our own economy are getting a better deal, then there should be things they are doing perhaps that are right, and in our own case, there are things that are happening that are not right. So I think even on an ordinary basis, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we must come to a conclusion that something is wrong.
I represent Rivers West Senatorial District from Rivers State. Mr. President, I would like to correct an impression. I don't believe this amount was inherited. The reason I would say so is that there was an intervention with the CBN on this issue in the past. And I remember we suggested to the CBN to dedicate the monies coming from diaspora remittances and use it to pay up these monies. So it can't be something that was inherited. And
so is that your contribution?
That CBN can dedicate that money from the diaspora remittances, because it was an international obligation we have international obligation we have with the airlines to remit the monies they have. We are also doing businesses in all of these countries, and I think it's not very good for Nigeria and for our image for Nigeria to be owing or to not to be remitting monies when they are due, as at when due. And Nigerian diaspora remittances is quite huge. And we had told the CBN at a point that they could dedicate that money, because at a point I knew that they were giving those monies to Bureau de Change.
Agent of any airline in this chamber. I also want to say that not airlines, anybody, any organization, any interest, any sentiment is free to come and lobby members of the National Assembly, whatever they have interest.
is for us to know the difference of what we are asked to do, whether these are good things for our country or not. But I think, even though it was said jokingly, but no agent, only the single senators of the Federal Republic are inside this chamber.